What's up, everybody? It's KID number 2DA Crazy X, and I figured since I can't do wrestling, I may as well sit back and try to talk about it a little bit. First off, I finally got around to watching the Dark Side of the Ring series, and the very first story that I wanted to see was a Benoit story because that's the one that I think I have a little personal connection with. Not personal because I know Benoit, but personal because I was around when it happened. Like I can tell you where I was when I got the information. So it's like that's one, and also I was actually following that story, so I knew about like the diary to Eddie and the head injuries and how CNN and Fox News and all these other things were like trying to make it out to be this, make it out to be bigger than it was on one standpoint. People were like, "Oh, it was roid rage" and all this other stuff. I was around for that, so that was the one that I was actually waiting to see. Before that, I haven't seen one episode of Dark Side of the Ring, and that's mostly because, um, outside of reality of wrestling, I wasn't really watching any syndicated wrestling at all, and it was because, like initially, I used to watch AAA. I used to watch a couple of Chikara videos every so often. It was like I actually sat down and I paid attention to a lot of the wrestling that was going on. So there was but then when Perito died, that sort of like took it away a little bit. And when Benoit died, I guess Benoit Benoit's death is ultimately what kind of gave me this not I don't want to say nihilistic view of celebrities, but like before Benoit died, before Benoit died, I was like, he's the greatest in the world. He's the greatest wrestler ever. He could do no wrong. And then he does the ultimate wrong. And it's like, it was at that moment that like it just dawned on me, like maybe celebrities are just, they're just people. They're people who were talented enough to earn enough money to do stuff. But at the end of the day, they're still people. Hell, having a lot of money kind of takes away, like I feel like what happened with Chris Benoit made me realize that like rich people can go from the level of being mildly pompous to like 0% morality, like morality drained. So like, I guess so on one hand I'm like, yeah, sure. On one hand, I'm like, I'm sad that he's gone, but on the other hand, it's like I don't know this guy well enough to be that sad. So there's that. Um, but the series itself, man, I mean the that in it the to see the segment, it hurt me, man. It really did because not because of what Benoit did, because that was heinous, it's gruesome, but it was because like Daniel really David, his other son, he really needed, looking at it, it's like he needed some help, and like he needed somebody because he's gonna forever be the biggest victim of this, and it's like what a shame, you know. So it kind of also it made me realize how big of a deal Eddie was, because Eddie Guerrero, like for the longest time, like there was a time where Eddie Guerrero seemed to have been in everything. I remember growing up and like seeing Eddie Guerrero go from WWE to WCW, and like how a lot of wrestlers cite him as one of the best. So it's like, you know, you hear it and it's like, dude, it's wild. But yeah, like, wow, I look fat as hell on camera. Like, this is disappointing. I need to get back on. I need to, I need to start working out. But yeah, that was a thing. Um, but yeah, that was a thing. Like, it made me realize how important to wrestling Eddie Guerrero was. So, and now that he's not with us anymore, it's like, man, it's just devastating. I guess looking at it and watching it, watching it, seeing it, three different words that mean the same thing, made me just like, it was just like, man, this is some heavy stuff, man. I can't really go into full review as to like why, I can't really go into full review because I actually hate doing reviews. I hate reviews in general. But like, sitting down and actually watching it just opened my eyes to a lot of concepts about not necessarily professional wrestling, but just people. Like Chris Benoit, in my opinion, he was a really severe case of putting his eggs in one basket. Like a lot of people may have been able to say that they were friends with Chris Benoit, but like he really only seemed to put like that special position of himself. You know, like he really treated Eddie Guerrero like a brother. Like and that's saying a lot. It's saying a lot because like when you put like all of this devotion and care into just one person, you know should anything happen to that one person, be it self-inflicted or otherwise, you just sort of sitting there like, like, what do you do now? That was a very it was a lot of devotion. And heaven forbid, professional wrestling does have a hell of a brotherhood concept. It's just one big frat. But it's like, you have to have, you got to stretch out your support system, because if you don't, then when you're by yourself like that, anything can go wrong. I'm not saying this to say that like I'm not saying this to say that if Benoit had more friends, he probably wouldn't have done what he did, because like we don't know. From what they brought up, how he was a drinker, how he was drinking a whole lot that night, and how him and Nancy actually were not the ideal couple that everybody thought that they were, because they used to fight all the time. Not all the time, but a lot. So it's a lot of stuff that went into it, and I'm not gonna act like I know the guy. So, but what I will say is, after seeing like that, it just made me realize that, like, some folks just really need to sort of just broaden their horizons and sort of like see more people and expand their social gathering, so to speak. Like, don't just put one person on in this position, because anything can happen to that one person, or put nobody in that position. And just keep your friends close and your enemies closer, as they say. Try your best to be cool with everybody, but don't be that cool with everybody. It's just, there's a lot of things that I feel like there's a lot of things that could have been done differently, but hindsight is 2020. So yeah, but man, this scene, like, I just really hope that at some point we can see David Benoit wrestle, because I mean, it just seems like I just feel like that would be the silver lining and all that, because I mean, at some, like, I'm not necessarily saying that it will undo what Chris Benoit done, but I mean, he did want to wrestle, if I'm not mistaken. So why not provide him that opportunity? Well, that's it though. That's it. I won't talk too much about it that much more. If you care about this opinion or whatever, just put a comment down below. I will respond, because as you can obviously tell from my channel, I have I I will respond. I will have the time to respond for sure. So thanks again. I know this is a long video, and I appreciate y'all for sticking around and watching. Love and peace.